Alright, I want to make a short video about Object.create. I have another video about Object.assign. I'll put the link to that one in the notes. But I just wanted to quickly cover Object.create. At its core, it's a really simple concept. You're creating a new object. So here I've defined one object. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this object as the prototype to create other objects. So kind of the base object that I'm using. So other objects that I build will all have this property built into them. Okay, at its core, that's all we're doing here. So I'm going to create a new object, new variable, and we're going to say Object.create. Okay, now we have to include inside of here, what do we want to use as the prototype for this object? Well, I'm going to use Obj. I could, if I wanted, just put an empty object inside there like that, but I'm going to use this one. That way the name property is going to be put inside here. Then I can define something. I can put an empty object in here saying that my object is not going to have any other properties of its own. I could put null to say there's absolutely nothing. I could point to, or define rather, other properties. We'll do that in the second example. Once I've done that, this now is effectively an object which has a property name. So I can console.log obj2, and if I jump over and run this, there we go. I've got an empty object, which is what we expected, because on its own, this is all it's got. Now if I write console.log obj2.name, JavaScript is going to go up the prototype chain. It's going to look inside here, say I don't have something called name. I'm going to go to my prototype, which is this. And sure enough, inside there, we have a property called name. So we are getting that value. All right, simple enough. That's working for us. Now let's do something a little bit more complex. I'll create another object with Object.create. I'm going to use obj as its prototype, or I could use obj2. Same thing's going to work. If I use obj2 as my prototype, it's going to look inside of this to see, hey, do you have something called name? No? What's your prototype? Go up the chain again to here, and we will have that name property. So if I do this, I'm still going to be able to go up the prototype chain and find that name property. Now here, instead of leaving this blank, what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to define some properties. There is an object define properties method where you can create a whole bunch of properties and define the descriptors for those properties. So I'm going to create a property called full name. It's going to be an object, and then I'm going to create another property, can bowl. Right, these are the two properties that obj3 is going to have within it. And then up the prototype chain, there's a property called name. So inside of here, we're going to say configurable is going to be true, so things can be changed about these descriptors. Writable, set that to true. Enumerable, set that to true. And the value, well, we can set a default value. There we are. Now for these next ones, I'm going to do the same sort of thing, and the default value for this, I'm going to say it's a Boolean. There we are. So we run this, and we should get Object3 coming out with these two properties, full name and can bowl. Great. These two properties that we've defined exist as part of Object3, but Object3 will also have access to the thing that's way up the prototype chain. Well, not way up, but a couple of levels up. There we are, the dude. So this property exists, as well as the ones that were natively set directly inside of there. And that's it. That's Object.create. If you understand those couple of things, you've got the whole thing done. As for these properties that are inside of here, I'm going to be making another video where I talk about property descriptors and how you can define things about the properties inside of your objects. But that's a story for another day. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about this, please leave them in the comments.